I never thought family could carve out your heart with a ballpoint pen. But that's exactly what my sister Lila did when she inked my name on that policy, like it was just another grocery list. One minute, I'm burying Dad's ashes in the backyard of our old Evanston split level, the wind whipping off Lake Michigan like it wants to swallow us whole. And the next, federal agents are kicking in my door at 6 a.m., badges flashing like Judgment Day, screaming about wire fraud and identity theft. Turns out, the $500,000 life insurance payout she was angling for wasn't just a windfall, it was her escape hatch from the mess she dragged me into years ago. The one where I did 5 years in Cook County for her coke-fueled joyride that ended with a totaled Ferrari and a dead senator's son in the passenger seat. That morning, as the agents cuffed me in my ratty Cubs tank top and dragged me past the neighbor's nosy spaniel, I locked eyes with Lila across the street, sipping her Starbucks like she was late for Pilates. She didn't flinch, didn't mouth sorry, she just smiled that pageant queen grin, the one that won her Miss Illinois back in '09, and raised her cup in a toast.
Bitch.
In that split second, I knew this wasn't betrayal, this was war. And I was going to burn her empire to the ground, even if it meant torching my own soul in the process. The fluorescent buzz of the holding cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center felt like a migraine on steroids, the kind you get after too many IPAs at a White Sox game gone south. I'd been here before, back in 18, when the plea deal for vehicular manslaughter pinned the whole ugly night on me. Lila had sworn it was an accident, her hands shaking from the lines she'd snorted off the dashboard. The senator's kid, Tommy Hargrove, laughing like a hyena until the guardrail turned him into roadkill. Aurora, you're tougher, she'd whispered in the ER waiting room, her mascara running black rivers down her cheeks. You'll bounce back. I can't have this on my record. Not with Daddy's legacy. Legacy. Dad's auto parts empire. Hargrove Imports. The one he'd built from a greasy garage in Pilsen to a fleet of dealerships dotting the Midwest. I'd signed the papers that night, confessed to the wheel, took the fall. 5 years. She got a spa retreat in Scottsdale.
Now.
Staring at the cinderblock walls etched with desperate tallies, days until freedom. I guessed the irony hit like a sucker punch. Freedom. I'd clawed my way back after parole, night classes at community college, a crap gig slinging lattes at a Loop Cafe, crashing on a cousin's couch in Wicker Park. Lila? She was CEO of Hargrove Imports by 2022. Daddy's golden girl. Schmoozing at galas in her Louboutins. The kind that click like accusations on marble floors. And me, the black sheep. The screw-up who found herself in a cell-block quilting bee. The feds weren't gentle. Special Agent Ruiz, a no-nonsense Latina with a ponytail tight as her bun, slid a manila folder under my nose during interrogation. MS. Aurora Hargrove, you want to explain why your signature's on a policy from Northwestern Mutual? Beneficiary your sister. Dated 2 weeks after your father's death? And why the premiums were wired from a Cayman account tied to your parolee's checking. I laughed, a hollow bark that echoed off the mirrored glass. My signature? Lila's got a better forgery kit than Art Institute interns. She probably practiced on Dad's will. Ruiz didn't crack a smile. She flipped pages, emails I'd never sent, authorizing the policy. Bank statements doctored with my routing number. It was airtight, except for the glitch. Dad's policy had lapsed years ago. But Lila revived it post-mortem, naming me the insured. If I disappeared, poof, $500K to her. Tax-free.
Why?
Ruiz leaned in, her breath minty fresh against the stale coffee stink. Your sister's clean as a whistle. board seats, charity runs for the Boys and Girls Club. You,
Ex-con.
drowning in student loans. Motive staring us in the face. Motive. If only she knew. Lila wasn't just greedy, she was unraveling. Whispers at family Thanksgivings, catered turkeys from Jewel-Osco. Because who has time for real cooking? About audits at Hargrove. Suppliers ghosting. Competitors circling like vultures over a fresh kill. Dad's death from pancreatic cancer last spring had left a vacuum, and Lila filled it with lies. She'd been cooking the books since 20, siphoning cash for her investments, crypto scams, a Hamptons flip house that flipped her instead. The insurance? Her Hail Mary. Frame me for fraud. Trigger an investigation that buries the embezzlement under federal fireworks. Then collect when I inevitably suicided in custody. I didn't spill. Not then. Rule 1 of sisterhood. Even the toxic kind, blood's thicker than indictments. But as they process me, mugshot flashbulb popping like paparazzi at a Kardashian meltdown, I started plotting. Revenge isn't a dish, it's a slow roast over coals you stoke yourself. First step, lawyer up. My public defender, a harried kid named Patel with acne scars and a bear's lanyard, got me bail after 48 hours, $50K, courtesy of pawned heirlooms I'd stashed. Stepping into the Chicago winter, wind slicing through my thrift store peacoat, I felt the city's pulse, horns blaring on Michigan Avenue, the L rattling overhead like God's own roller coaster. This was my turf. Lila's too, but she'd gone soft in her high-rise airy. I didn't go home. Instead, I Ubered to a dive bar in Bridgeport, the kind with faded Obama posters and RC Cola on tap. There, nursing a Jameson that burned like absolution, I called Tommy Hargrove's ghost. Well, his old man, Senator Elias Hargrove, retired now but still pulling strings from his Gold Coast condo. Aurora, he rasped, voice like gravel under tires. Heard about the clusterfuck. Lila's poison. Always was.
But you.
You paid for her sins once. Don't let her drag you under again. He didn't offer help outright. Senators don't do handouts, but he slipped me a name, Marcus Hale. Ex-IRS bloodhound turned PI. The guy who sniffed out Al Capone's tax dodges in a past life. Oh, you for Tommy, Elias said. Make it hurt. Marcus met me at a Polish diner off Division. Plates of pierogies steaming between us like peace offerings. Mid-50s. Salt and pepper buzz cut. Eyes like a hawk's, sharp, unblinking.
Får say.
Child's play, he grunted. Forking potato dumplings. But federal charges? That's a RICO setup if I ever saw one. Lila's not just dipping, she's drowning the company. Offshore shells. Fake vendors, I've seen the filings. He showed me printouts on his tablet. Hargrove imports SEC reports. Red flags waving like surrender flags. Invoices for consulting to a Delaware ghost corp, Lila's LLC. Funneled through me via identity hacks. She'd used my SSN for credit lines, maxed them on Vegas benders, and a Birkin bag collection that could fund a small nation. She's flipping the script, Marcus said. You take the fraud rap. Company folds under investigation. She declares bankruptcy. Walks with the insurance windfall. Clean slate. My fists clenched under the Formica table. Nails biting palms.
Clean.
She'd always been the shiny one. Varsity cheer. Sorority queen at Northwestern. The daughter Dad bragged about at Rotary lunches.
Me?
The tomboy tagging along to monster truck rallies. Grease under my nails from helping in the shop. When Tommy died, It was me who held her hair back in the station bathroom, whispering, "We got this."
We.
What a joke. Plan? Marcus asked, wiping mustard from his chin. I smiled. The kind that doesn't reach your eyes. We don't burn the house. We smoke her out. Get me proof, irrefutable. The kind that sticks like gum on a hot sidewalk. Then I go nuclear. He nodded, sliding a contract across. $10,000 retainer. Half up front. I Venmo'd for my barista tips. Every cent I'd scraped since parole. As I stepped into the slushy street, phone buzzing with Lila's text, "Sis. WTF?
Cops at my door.
Call me XX. I deleted it without reply. The hook was set. Now to reel in the monster. Spring thawed Chicago like a reluctant lover. Lake Michigan shedding its ice armor for toxic blooms that painted the shore green and mean. By April, Marcus had burrowed into Lila's digital underbelly like a mole in a manicured lawn. We met in his Andersonville walk-up, a fortress of file cabinets and flickering monitors, the air thick with takeout lo mein and printer toner. Jackpot, he said, tossing a USB drive like contraband. Emails from 12. She planned the forgery back when Dad was still lucid. Insurance for the future, she called it. And get this, Tommy's crash? She spiked his drink with GHB. Roofies from a dealer in Wrigleyville. You drove.
Sure.
But she steered. My stomach flipped, bowel rising like bad Pyrgus. GHB. The tox report had been inconclusive, plea bargains swallowing the rest. I believed her tears. The hysterics about one bad night. But here it was, chained to a pharmacy ghost account, purchased time-stamped hours before the party. Why tell me now? I whispered, the room spinning. Marcus shrugged, cracking a fresca. Truth's a blunt instrument. But revenge? That's scalpel work. She's meeting a fixer tomorrow, some Ukrainian money launderer at the Billy Goat Tavern. Wire transfer for the Cayman's hush money. The Billy Goat, under the L tracks. Birthplace of the curse. Where Cubs fans drown sorrows in goatless burgers. I tailed her there in a borrowed Civic. Heart hammering like bass at an Lollapalooza after-party. Lila swept in at noon. Ray-Bans perched on her Botox forehead. Power suit hugging curves I'd kill for, literally, some days. She slid into a booth with a slab of a man, gold chain glinting under his tracksuit. Yuri. Marcus had ID'd him, ex-Odessa enforcer, now consultant for Midwest syndicates. I watched from the bar, nursing a Miller Lite, ears straining over the sizzle of onions. Aurora's the patsy, she said, voice carrying like she owned the joint. Feds bite. Company tanks. I collect. You handle the acceleration? Acceleration. Code for make her vanish. Yuri grunted approval, sliding a burner phone. My blood turned to antifreeze. This wasn't sisterly rivalry, it was a hit list with my name in Sharpe. That night, I broke into her Gold Coast penthouse, key under the mat. Because trust dies hard. Her place screamed excess, Warhol prints on velvet walls. A Sub-Zero fridge stocked with Veuve and kale smoothies. In her office, amid spreadsheets screaming red ink, I found the crown jewel, a ledger, detailing every skim. $2.3 million. Laundered through car flips and charity donations to her own PAC. And tucked in the back, a yellowed envelope. Dad's last letter. Post-diagnosis. Lila. The company's yours if you promise to protect Aurora. She's carried us all. She'd underlined protect in red, then crossed it out. Rage boiled. But I played smart, planted a thumb drive with dummy files, laced with a tracker virus Marcus whipped up. Then, the anonymous tip to the Sun-Times tip line, forged docs, sibling sabotage. By morning, headline screamed, Hargrove heiress and insurance scam? Former inmate's sister arrested. Lila called at 7:02 a.m. Voice a razor wire of panic. Aurora. You bitch. What did you do? The board circling. They're voting me out. I let silence stretch. And remember Tommy? The GHB? I do now.
Click. She
flipped fast, like a weather vane in a gale. By noon, her lawyer, some K street shark, filed a countersuit. Defamation. Emotional distress. My client fears for her safety. The presser bleated outside the courthouse. Cameras flashing like strobe lights at a bad rave. Aurora Hargrove's vendetta endangers us all. Vendetta. The word tasted like ash. But it fit. I lawyered up harder. Patel trading his Bears tickets for pro bono from a feminist collective in Logan Square. They dug. Lila's flip-flops went back years. High school shoplifting bust. I took the community service. College tuition scam. Dad thought it was me forging checks.
And Tommy?
She dated him for the connections. Then dosed him to loosen up for a donor party. When it went tits up, she gaslit me into the confession. Aurora, you're street smart. Say you were driving fast.
Swerved.
They'll believe the grease monkey over the debutante. The feds wavered. Ruiz called. New evidence. MS. Hargrove. Your sister's got alibis cracking like eggshells. Wanna recant? I hedged. Give me 48 hours. Truth was, I didn't want her locked up, not yet. Prison was too clean.
Too quick. You wanted her stripped bare.
Watching her world crumble from the curb. Marcus and I escalated. Leaked the ledger to a board member. Old-school Irish Catholic with a grudge from Dad's era. By week's end, emergency meeting, Lila ousted, shares tanking like the '08 crash. She showed at my cousin's door that night. Rain-soaked. Mascara Rivers Redux. Please.
Rory.
It's me. Family. I opened the door a crack. Chain rattling. Family? You sold mine for a Birkin. But her eyes, pleading, fractured, tugged. Was this the hook? Or the twist? I let her in. Poured cheap Merlot. She sobbed the tale. Dad's cancer meds hooked her on opioids. Then coke to chase the fog. The embezzling started, small bills piling. Ego demanding the lifestyle. I needed you gone to reset. Not dead. Just.
Out.
Lies. Half-truths. But in the dim kitchen light, with Coltrane crooning from a Bluetooth speaker, I wavered.
Stockholm syndrome for siblings.
Or pity. The great American weakness?
Vitalsked till dawn.
Her head on my shoulder, like when we were kids. Braiding hair under the oak tree. Fix it, I said finally. Confess. I'll back you. She nodded.
Fierce. Deal.
But dawn brought Betrayal 2.0, her fixer Yuri at the door. Silenced pistol glinting. Boss says loose ends. Lila behind him. Eyes dead.
Sadi. Sis.
Acceleration.
I dove.
Glass shattering. Merlot pooling like blood. The fight spilled into the hall, me, the ex-con scrapper, versus Yuri's meaty paws. A knee to the groin. Elbow to throat, he crumpled,
gasping.
Lila bolted, heels clacking down the fire escape.
Cops swarmed.
Yuri zip-tied and muttering in Ukrainian. Ruiz. Self-defense. But your sister's ghosted. Private jet to Nassau. The polarizing moment hit. Was she victim or villain? Addict or architect? I chose neither.
It chose 4.
Summer scorched Chicago into a skillet. Humidity turning the loop into a steam bath where suits wilted and tempers flared like faulty AC units. With Yuri's confession, coerced threats. Recorded on my phone hidden in the ficus, the feds flipped the script. Lila Public Enemy 1. RICO indictment looming like thunderheads over the lakefront. Hargrove imports hemorrhaged. Creditors circling. Employees picketing with signs scrawled in Sharpie. Lila stole our future. I became the reluctant saint, testifying in a wood-paneled courtroom that smelled of old money and older grudges. Judge Harlan, a silver fox with a drawl from his Kentucky summers, eyed me over bifocals. MS. Hargrove, you've endured much from kin. Why pursue this now? When reconciliation seemed possible, the jury, blue-collar mix of teachers, welders, a nurse with tattooed forearms, leaned in. Cameras hummed from the gallery, CNN feeding the frenzy. I gripped the stand, palms slick. Because family isn't a free pass for felony. She didn't just forge a signature, she forged our lives. Dad built that company on sweat, mine,
His.
the guys in pills and garages. She pissed it away for likes on Instagram, then tried to bury me to cover the stench. Gasps rippled. Lila's lawyer objected. Prejudicial. But Harlan let it stand. A rare wink at drama. My testimony unspooled the rot. The GHB buy. The crash cover-up. The insurance ploy. Exhibits flashed, emails. Ledgers. Yuri's wire transfers. The courtroom thickened with that uniquely American tension. The crowd split. Whispers fracturing along class lines. The South Side welders nodded. Fists clenched, the Gold Coast socialites shifted, eyes darting to empty seats where Lila's allies had ghosted. Outside, protests brewed. Justice for Aura trended. My mugshot memed into a haloed Avenger. But Free Lila countered, her sorority sisters, PDA moms, spinning the addict narrative. Big Pharma's the real villain. Mental health crisis. Polarizing. Just like Marcus predicted. Dinner table debates erupted nationwide. Was I hero or opportunist? Cashing in on sibling schadenfreude? Pundits on Fox and MSNBC duked it out. My phone exploding with tips. Old flames spilling Lila's dirt. Anonymous checks from well-wishers who'd lost jobs to her cuts. I holed up in a safe house apartment in Ukrainian village. Blinds drawn against paparazzi drones buzzing like hornets. Marcus crashed on the couch, nursing a bum knee from a training mishap with his heavy bag. She's cornered, he said one muggy night. Pizza boxes piling like Jenga. Interpol pinged her in the Bahamas, yacht owned by a Russian oligarch shell. But she's flipping again. Word is, she's cutting a deal. Testify against Yuri's crew. Get immunity. Immunity. The word slithered like a snake in Eden. I'd seen it before, in the crash plea, where Lila walked while I rotted. But this, it'd whitewash her ledger. Leave me holding the empty bag of vindication. No, isnarlat. Pacing the threadbare rug. We end it. The plan crystallized over cold slices. Bait her back. I went public. Tearful interview on WGN. Voice cracking just so. I forgive her. Come home, Lila. We fix this together. The bait took. 2 days later. Burner call. Rory, it's bad. They're saying I'll do 20. Meet me, old spot. Under the oak. The oak, our childhood fort in Evanston, now a splintered relic in a gentrified park, swings creaking empty at twilight. I arrived early, Glock tucked in my waistband, permit fresh from the range. Because Chicago's no Wild West, but revenge don't play by rules. Dusk bled purple, fireflies winking like conspirators. She emerged from the shadows,
gaunt,
blonde roots showing like surrender flags. No Louboutins, just Nikes, stolen from a hostel lost and found. Aurora, she breathed, arms outstretched. Hug or hex. I stepped in, pistol pressing her ribs.
Knees. Now.
She dropped, eyes wide, not fear, but calculation. You won't shoot. We're blood. Blood. I laughed, barrel cold against her temple. You spilled Tommy's for a thrill. Framed me for your greed. This ends confess on camera, or I pull the trigger and claim self-defense. Yuri's playbook. Tears. Real ones this time? Or Oscar bait? She nodded, fumbling for her phone. Okay. For Dad. The video rolled, her voice steady, spilling the sins, embezzlement, forgery, the hit. I did it all. Aurora's innocent. I hit stop. Heart thundering. Victory? Or trap? She lunged then, not for the gun, but a syringe from her pocket. Insulin?
No.
Narcan. The opioid blocker. For your habit, she hissed, jamming it into my thigh. Fire lanced, I staggered, vision blurring. She dosed my water at the apartment, fentanyl trace. Enough to fog but not kill, yet. You think I'm the only addict? She spat, grabbing the Glock. Dad's pills hooked us both. You just hit it better. Flip. She wasn't running, she was redeeming. Or ruining. The polarizing crux, her finger on the trigger. My haze lifting slow. Who was the villain? The betrayed avenger? Or the broken sister forcing a mercy kill? Sirens wailed distant, my ankle tracker.
Tripped.
She hesitated, gun trembling. End it. Lila, I gasped. Be the hero. She fired, into the dirt, inches from my foot. Fuck you. I choose me. Then she ran, melting into the night. Cops swarmed, medics pumped me full of reversal. The video, uploaded live from my phone, viral before dawn. Sister versus sister exploded. Debates raging. Was her confession coerced? Selfish absolution? I collapsed in the ambulance. The oak's branches clawing the sky like accusations. Wars never clean. Fall painted Chicago in bruised colors. Russet leaves skittering Michigan Avenue like guilty secrets. The air crisp with the promise of winter's bite. Lila's video detonated the case. Feds pounced, snatching her from a Nassau airstrip mid-flight to Moscow. Extradition dragged, diplomatic dances with Bahamian suits, but by October, she was back in MCC. Orange jumpsuit clashing with her spray tan. The trial fused into a three-ring circus. RICO charges. Fraud. Attempted murder via Yuri's botch. I testified again. But this time, the jury's eyes held no pity, just weary judgment. The kind Westerners reserve for corrupt aldermen and Bears coaches. Lila's defense? Masterstroke of controversy. She pled diminished capacity, opioid-induced psychosis, backed by shrinks from Johns Hopkins, painting her as a victim of the Sackler empire. Big Pharma's poster child for privilege gone wrong. My client was ill, her lawyer thundered. A silver-tongued Baptist from Atlanta. Aurora's revenge? A vengeful phantom. Haunting a sick woman. Exhibits. My prison tats faded under sleeves. The Glock permit as stalker evidence. She flipped the narrative. I was the schemer. Planting doubts. Goading the confession. Polarization peaked. Feminist pods decried sister eating sister under capitalism. Conservative talk radio hailed me as everyday American grit. Protests clogged Daily Plaza. Free Lila versus lock her up. Fists and signs clashing like cymbals.
Me?
I watched from the wings.
Good churning.
Marcus warned. She's gaming you again. Immunity deals cooking snitch on the oligarchs. Skate on manslaughter. He was right. Whispers from Ruiz. Lila trading Yuri's ledgers for a wrist slap. House arrest in a vineyard estate. The twist gut-punched at sentencing. Judge Harlan, peering over his gavel like Moses with the tablets, sentenced her to time served plus probation. Redemption's possible, he intoned. Even for the fallen.
Fallen.
She smirked from the dock. Eyes locking mine, victory lap. But the real twist? It wasn't hers. As marshals led her out, a bailiff slipped me an envelope, Lila's scrawl. Rory. The Oak video?
Doctored.
I confessed clean.
But you.
Check the original. Heart slamming. I bolted to Marcus's. USB trembling in my fist. Playback. Her words true. But spliced mid-confession. She added. Aurora knew about the GHB. She supplied it. We shared the wheel. Shared. The crash. The fall. I'd known?
No.
Foggy memory from the ear. Her pressing a vial into my hand. Hold this. Cease. I'd pocketed it. Amnesia of trauma. But Tox traces? They'd match my prints. She'd framed me twice. Once in action. Once in edit. The video I'd uploaded? Her poison pill. Time to drop post-trial. Rage crested. But so did doubt. Was I complicit? The pills Dad hoarded. I'd popped a few post-crash. Chasing numbness. Mirror. Mirror. No heroes here. Just survivors clawing from the same grave. I didn't leak it. Instead, I drove to MCC. Visitors glass between us. Lila picked up the phone.
Gaunt but glowing.
Twist.
Huh?
We're even now. Even? I pressed the glass. Breath fogging. You torched everything. She leaned in. Voice a whisper. Or saved you. That video clears the Fed's fraud. Your name's gold. Company's yours. Board vote tomorrow. I signed it over in the plea.
Lie?
Truth? Her eyes. For once. Held no scheme, just exhaustion. The kind that comes from fighting your shadow. Go live.
Rory.
Be the Hargrove Dad wanted. I hung up. Walked into November's chill. The board confirmed. CEO Aurora Hargrove. Shares intact. Empire salvaged. Press hailed the prodigal's return, but mirrors lied. I saw Lila's ghost in my reflection. The schemer's twin.
Ending?
No tidy bow. I rebuilt. Green initiatives for the shops. Scholarships for Pilsen kids. A foundation for addict siblings. Lila vanished into therapy farms and tabloid exile, surfacing in a 28 Oprah special. Forgiven. But not forgotten. We don't speak. But Thanksgiving cards arrive, and signed. With a single oak leaf pressed inside. Happy? Tragic? You decide. In America, revenge is just another hustle. And winners wear the scars.
Me?
I sleep with the lights on, dreaming of signatures in blood.